As satellites tumble through space, matching the orientation of their antenna may pose a challenge. If you miss, you may experience up to a 30 dB loss. When using a handheld Yagi, one constantly has to rotate to try to find the angle that yields the best signal, which adds to the complex task of running satellites. Most antenna rotors for working satellites support rotating along the azimuth and elevation axis, but don't support rotating the antenna for polarization. A great way to deal with this is using a Cross Yagi antenna phased to give you a circular polarization. In this kind of an antenna, the polarization is not left for a single vertical or horizontal plane, but is rotating in a helical pattern. And with that, it doesn't matter if you got a vertical or horizontal orientation of the satellite. The loss caused by orientation is a constant 3 dB, which is acceptable. I'm currently working on a homebrew 3D printed azimuth and elevation rotor. I have already built my 2-meter Cross Yagi, but now I also need a 30 centimeter Yagi. But the same process may also be applied to make a Cross Yagi for any band. I found 3 websites that helped me a lot in understanding and designing Cross Yagis. Links are in the description. To make this a really lightweight antenna, I chose to go with a 10mm square aluminum tube as boom, and 6mm round aluminum pipes as elements. I use coax stubs for matching and phasing, and 3D printed parts to connect everything together. Links are in the description. At 3G Aerial, there's a calculator for calculating your antenna elements. I select metric, entered my own frequency of 436.5 MHz. I chose a straight driving element, which is going to be round. Elements are going to be isolated from the metal boom, option 4, and the boom is square. I'm going to use 9 elements. And the result of this calculation is a description of all the element lengths and distances between the elements. And the result is an antenna with a boom length of approximate 130 cm and a theoretic gain of 13 dBi. This describes a Yagi in general. And to make this a Cross Yagi, all I have to do is mount 2 of these on the same boom, rotated 90 degrees. But before we do that, let's tackle the matching and phasing. When connecting 2 Yagi antennas together in parallel, the impedance is divided by 2. So we have to increase the impedance of both antennas to land at the desired 50 ohm impedance. This is done by connecting the antennas to a common point using a quarter wave of 75 ohm coax cable for each antenna. We are going to target the frequency of 436.5 MHz. We use RG59 with a 75 ohm impedance and a velocity factor of 0.66. That gives us the calculation of 300 divided by 436.5 divided by 4 for a quarter wave and multiplied by the velocity factor of 0.66. And that will equal 11.3 centimeter. If you want to get more into the details, the linked web pages will detail the theory and construction of circular polarized Yagis. To make the polarization rotate, we need to move the axis a quarter wave in relation to each other. We may do this by either moving the driving elements away from each other on the boom, or feeding one of the driving elements through a quarter wave of 50 ohm coax cable. I want to keep my antenna as short as possible, so I don't want to offset the elements the full quarter wave on the boom. But the mounting brackets are already placed 10 mm apart. The calculator made available at Delta Golf 7 Yankee Bravo November's website lets you punch in your data to determine the required length of phasing coax. Mine landed at 106.7 millimeters. The coax are going to be measured from where we separate the shield from the cable. We solder it all together and to a SO239 connector screwed into my mounting bracket. Now let's make some elements for our Yagi antenna. And we are going to start with the most complex, namely the driving elements. The driving elements are cut with a gap in the middle to make two separate elements of a dipole. Our element plan list lists a gap at connection point for the dipoles. In this case, it is to be less than or equal to 9 mm. To calculate the length of each element, we take the total length, 323 mm, minus 9 mm equals 314, and we divide by 2 to get 157 mm. Let's cut 2. To keep some stability in the dipole, I cut a 6 cm piece of 3 mm glass fiber rod that has a perfect fit inside the aluminum elements. I use 5-minute epoxy to glue in place and use a stable jig to hold everything together as the glue dries. I'm going to drill and tap holes for connecting the dipole to the coax cable, and measure so that these holes end up outside of the mounting bracket. Now let's drill and tap a 3 mm hole in each element. And remember, we need to make 2 of this dipole. Now let's cut the rest of the elements. It's just a matter of cutting each element according to the list. And remember, we need 2 of each. And also mark the middle of each element. The element list also tells you a boom length. This is not the length you want to cut for this exact Yagi, as we need to account for 2 sets of mounting brackets. You are better to wait until we have measured out the distances between the mounting brackets on the boom. So let's lay down the boom next to a ruler and measure the distances listed in the element list. And also mark the width of the 2 mounting brackets for each element pair, 2 times 10 mm. The distance may be measured from start of the boom to start of each element mount. When you have marked all and also made room for the mounting brackets, you should end up with a boom length of 1 meter and 267 millimeters. We are going to use my 3D printed mounting brackets for this antenna. These are designed for constructing lightweight antennas with portability in mind. One of the cool properties I designed in these are the element's ability to pop loose from the boom in case of an accident. The STL files are available in the description below. It is important to print these at the right orientation to keep the best strength, and use 100% infill. I also slice and color the ends of the dipole brackets, so I later can mark which dipole element should go where. This may be important to keep the right circular polarization. Now it's time to put all the mounting brackets on the boom. The mounting brackets should be a tight fit, but if they slide too easily, you may fix them in place with some superglue. I'm going to start the assembly from the middle of the boom and work my way out to each end. I place 2 element mounting brackets for each element pair, facing away from each other and at a 90 degrees angle from each other. Make sure we keep the orientation as we move to the next set of elements. The SO239 mounting bracket with our matching and facing coax is going to be mounted in between the dipoles and the reflector elements. Now put the dipoles in place and screw the coax in place. The extra facing coax is going to the backmost dipole. I want to keep the polarization right-hand circular polarized, as is recommended in most cases. If we hold the backmost dipole vertical, with the coax center connected on top, the front dipole should connect with the right element to the coax center. Now let's place the rest of the elements. The reflectors are longer than the dipoles, and the directors are shorter and shorter as we move to the front of the antenna. And with that, we are done. I ended up with a SWR of about 1.3, which is okay for now. Tuning this dipole is a whole other complex topic for another video. Thank you for listening and good luck on your build.
Mike 8, X-ray Zulu Delta, you're 59 into Oscar 93, this is Mike 0, Yankee, Kilo. Good evening.
Yankee Kilo Sierra, you're 59 into Dorset, UK.
Yeah, Kilo.